Whoever comes to me and does not love me more than father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even life itself, cannot be my disciple. That's a big ask, isn't it? Love me more than your parents, your spouses, your children, or siblings. Love me more than you love your own life. That's a tall order, to be sure. Jesus goes on later to say that if we love him, we have to give up all our possessions if we wish to follow him. It's a wonder the man had any disciples at all, much less 12 at some point. With demands like that, that's pretty rough. And we got to be real with each other if we want to say most of us love our families and our spouses. We love ourselves in healthy ways, at least to some degree. I hope you do. And yet the Lord demands that we look over all of these things and love God before them. But before we go thinking that Jesus is asking us to be negligent parents or ungrateful children or hostile spouses or bad siblings, or Jesus is calling you to get rid of everything and go become a monk or wander the earth like Kwa Chan Kang. Any Kung Fu fans in the room? No? Just me? Okay. We got to think about it for a second and look at what he's really asking. So let's go back and look at the Bible. It says, large crowds are traveling with Jesus, and he turned to them and said, whoever does not come to me and does not love me more than father and mother, wife and children, sister and brothers, and even life itself can't be my disciple. Whoever does not carry the cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. He's speaking about something very important in the immediate sense. If you wanted to follow Jesus, and if you wanted to be part of the early church, that a lot of times meant that your parents would turn you out of the house and they didn't want you around anymore. That a lot of times meant that people that were supposed to be friends didn't want to have anything to do with you anymore. That a lot of times meant that whatever kind of religious community you had, you were no longer welcome there because you were a heretic, you were a blasphemer, and you didn't belong. It meant that if you had a job with the government, you couldn't work with the government anymore because you followed somebody that was killed as a traitor. They killed traitors on crosses, right? It meant that you had to be willing to give up nearly everything that you loved and held dear to follow the call of God and follow Jesus. He's speaking very directly here to this experience. There's a really famous early Christian story. It's called the Acts of Paul and Thecla. It is about St. Paul and this woman named St. Thecla. And she hears the good news of Jesus and she decides, okay, I want to follow Jesus. I want to be part of this community. And her mother and father say, no, that's not what a good daughter does in this society. We've already picked out a nice husband for you. You're going to get married. You're going to be a wife. You're going to be fantastic. You're going to pop out lots of babies. And then they're going to go on and have lots of babies. And you're going to make your husband very happy. And then one day you die. And they're going to put on your tombstone, she was a great wife. She had lots of children. And back then, if you were a really good woman, they put she worked well with wool. Right? They're like she was a good knitter. Right? That's what they wanted for her. And she said, no. God is calling me to something different. Y'all remember that story with Martha and Mary? She was Mary, learning at Jesus' feet. And the world was saying, no, you're Martha. And she said, no, I'm going to follow this. This is who I am. This is who I'm called to be. This is the path I'm taking. And her parents said, no, you're not going to do it. And they went back and forth and back and forth. And this isn't just like some reality TV drama. The story goes on. Her parents take her before the authorities and they say, magistrate, make her do what we say. She's supposed to. And she wouldn't. And so they take her out to be executed. Her own parents. Not a friend would speak up for her. No extended family members were interested in helping her. And the person she was engaged to probably thought he's really dodging a bullet there. Right? No one except for Paul. No one except for this new community. She had no one except for God. But in having that, she realized something important. She had everything. She had been stripped of her family, her friends, her possessions, whatever idea of a future she may have grown up having. She was facing death down. Animals were coming out to kill her, and she never felt freer. Because she realized that in having God, she had everything, though by the world's standards, she'd thrown it all away. She'd thrown it all away. Jesus goes on to say something very important at the very end here. He says, if you wish to become my disciple, you cannot do so unless you give up all your possessions. Now, that may sound like he's calling you to become a monk, and I don't know you. Maybe Jesus is calling you to become a monk. We can talk about that after the service if you want. But that's not everybody. Here's the thing. If you're not being called to give up all your possessions and become a monk, and you're not living in the early Christian church, what you're being called to do here is be willing to give up all your possessions. You got to be in that spiritual mindset. And this takes us back to this first thing we were talking about here, and I'm going to show you how they're connected. Thecla was dangerous because she said, I'm not doing that. I'm not playing your game. I'm not interested in the husband you have for me. I'm not interested in the house that he wants to build for me. I'm not interested in the pretty dresses. I'm not interested in the fancy shoes. I'm not interested in pretending like this person's conversation is interesting at this cocktail party and putting on a fake smile. I'm not interested in buying things I don't really want so that people will be impressed by me. I'm not interested in going into debt to buy even more stuff that we don't need. I'm not interested in having a big house that's either totally empty because we can't afford to fill it, or it's full of things that we don't really own because we're up to our eyeballs in debt. I'm not interested in any of that. I'm interested in what's real. I'm interested in what's really real. And what's really real is God. The one who made all of this stuff. The one in whom we live and move and have our being. I don't care if you take the house away. I don't care if the car goes tomorrow. I don't care if the TV breaks and we don't get another one. I don't care. I'm holding it all loosely because let me tell you something. They can come for that car if they want it. All right? They'll repossess that car. They'll repossess that house. I don't care if you think you own it. Right? How many people are in debt up to their eyeballs for something and pretending like they own it? All right? I'm going to get an amen on that one. All right? You don't want to give it, but I'm going to get it. In our society, we trick people into thinking they own things. Your car is not really your car if it's on borrowed money and borrowed time. Your house is not really your house if they can come and snap it up at any minute. Hey, they even get you with your health. They'll put you in debt up to your eyeballs just to keep your body working properly. How unethical is that? There we've decided that money is worth more than human lives. And that's ridiculous. It's evil. Jesus says, get out of that pattern. People come up to Jesus to be healed. Does he say, hey, give me some money first? What did he do when that woman came up to be healed at the synagogue? He healed her. That's it. That's a totally different way of living. Try acting like you believe that's the best way to live and see who thinks you're crazy. Try going in somebody's 8-story house that has a TV as big as that back wall, the most high-definition thing in the world. It looks like Judi Dench is in the house with you, and not actually being impressed by it. They'll think you totally lost it, right? See how many friends you get then. That's because everybody gets so trapped up in this. Constantly they think, well, if I just buy this, I'll really be happy. If I just buy this, I'll really be successful. If I just get more money, then I'll be fine at some point. But the thing is, and Ecclesiastes in Sunday school said this today, people who have lots of money are never satisfied with the amount of money they have. They always want more. People who have lots of stuff are never satisfied with the stuff that they have. They always want more. There's always a bigger house, and if there's not a bigger house, by God, we're going to build it. And when we build that bigger house, we've got to have more stuff for it. Right? That's what they want you to do. They want you to tie your worth as a person into all of this worldly stuff. But when you say, I don't care anymore, because I've got God, I've got love, my heart, my treasure is in things eternal, that's when you start being dangerous. That's why they had to kill Jesus. Because it just didn't impress him very much. I don't care if you're the governor. I'm not that impressed by you. I don't care if you're the king. I'm not that impressed by you. I don't care if you're the high priest, the bishop, the pope, the Dalai Lama, whatever. I'm not that impressed by you. You're just a flesh and blood person. But you can still love people, right? Because what you can see through all of that is the person that God has made. And the more we get stuck in the possessions, the more we get trapped in defining ourselves by what we own, the more we realize that what we own actually owns us. And there's no getting out of that cycle by staying in it. There's nothing you can buy that will make you really free. Not a single thing. But there is something you can let go of that will make you free. You can let go of the things. You can let go of the anger. You can let go of the greed. You can let go of the hostility. You can let go of the bitterness. You can let go of the rage. You can let go of the hate. You can let go of the fear. You can let go of the paranoia of people who aren't like you. You can let go of hating yourself. There's nothing you can buy that will make you free. But there's a lot of things you can let go of that will make you free. There is nothing you can buy that will make you really happy. But there are some things you can let go of that will make some space inside for God to fill you with joy. There's nothing you can acquire that will finally one day satisfy you, because if you think that there's something you can buy that will satisfy you, you're never going to be satisfied. Here's the thing. Little kids know this until we teach them differently. Amen. Right? Little kids share all the time. It's no big deal. We even try to teach them the right things when they first start out. Y'all ever hear of that book, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie? We got a whole country built on If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to want a Corvette to go with it, right? You give a mouse a Corvette, he's going to want 2 Corvettes. And then a big garage to put him in. If I got a big garage, I got to have a big house, because then I don't want him to look asymmetrical and that'll be weird, right? If there are people in your life who think you're important because of what you do for a living, because of where you went to school, because of where you were born, because of how you look, because of what you own, because of how much money you make, they're not really your friends. And you can let that go too. All right? The hardest thing Jesus is teaching us here, and this gets back to that loving him more than life itself, that's what we tell people life is. A lot of times when we look in the mirror, we determine who we are and our self-worth by where we went to school or where we didn't, by what we own or what we don't own, by how we look in this outfit or how we wish we looked in this outfit, by how our body looks or how we wish our body looks. That's not your true self, and you need to let that go too. Amen. That's the part of yourself that you have to let die in order to let God shine in you. Now, I want to just give a hypothetical here. What if we all started acting like we believed that was true? Would people go to bed hungry every night? No. Would people have all the health coverage they needed? Yeah. There's always been enough to go around, and there's enough to go around right now. Amen. But we don't behave that way because we have decided that things are more valuable than people. This is what Jesus wants you to get rid of if you really want to live and you really want to be free. So, in your prayer life right now, instead of doing a lot of talking, Jesus, I really want this to work out this way. Jesus, I want you to give me this other thing in my life. Try doing some more listening. Jesus, thank you for having me here. Jesus, thank you for calling me by name to be a part of your flock. Fill me with your grace and wisdom, and just take it from there. See, a lot of times we turn God into another excuse to order something. Another chance to buy some more stuff, right? Prayer is a lot like placing an order. But let's have prayer be more like having a conversation. And if you're willing to do that, then you're ready to follow Jesus. Amen. Amen.